It's here. The Multisystem2 is here. It's finished. It's in manufacturing.
It is.
It's that close to being on your desk at home. And we're going to split this video into two parts, really. In the first part, it's just all the facts, all the details you need to know about this new Multisystem2. And then if you want to stick around for the technical bits and pick Richard's brains for everything that's gone into the development of this, then please do. So Richard, in a nutshell, what is the Multisystem2?
The Multisystem2 is an all-in-one gaming console that can do vintage gaming, classic computers, and vintage arcade systems all the way through the range of from 1960s all the way through to around 2000. Yeah.
FPGA based, and it achieves this through the MiSTer project, doesn't it?
That's right, yeah. It's 100% compatible with the MiSTer FPGA project, which has been going on since about 2017. So we've kept everything fully 100% compatible.
Just as you did with the Multisystem1, but the Multisystem2, your goal was to just refine everything, wasn't it?
Yeah, make this the ultimate desktop system that you could put in front of your television, in front of your CRT screen, or in your arcade. So this is the ultimate console you can just plug in and use straight away.
Okay, so just the facts. It's in manufacturing.
Yep.
When can I order it?
You'll be able to order it on Tuesday, May the 6th at around 2 p.m. UK time.
How much is it?
We have two versions, that's quite important, so we will go over the two versions, but there is a digital version, which is £170, and there is a full version, if you like, or the analog version, which is £210.
And that arrives fitted in the case, take it out of the box, plug it in, and away you go.
Yeah, you just need to have a power supply, which again is available on our store, and you need an SD card and the MiSTer software.
Okay, and when are you shipping?
We're aiming to start shipping in August.
Okay, and where do I go? Where do I go? Where's the website?
Yep, we have
just the facts, Richard.
Yeah,
just the facts.
So you'll be able to order it from shop.heber.co.uk, and we will have a dedicated MiSTer multi-system website available at multisystem.uk.
Phew, right, that's the facts done, right? Everyone informed, you know what you're looking at.
You can't say we teased you. This
was
just right up front.
Up front, there you go, there it is, the Multisystem2. Right, should we chat about it then? Yeah. Okay, feel a bit more relaxed now. There's a lot on the table here, including the Multisystem1.
Yeah.
So this is an evolution, isn't it, of the Multisystem1, which in the first place was designed to try and achieve the same things, to make the traditional stack type MiSTer setup into something a bit more refined and a bit more accessible to a more casual user. Yeah. But that was created in quite difficult world circumstances, wasn't it, at the time?
It was, yeah. It was a little tricky. We were all buying in boards from Jurassic, the DE10, which is an off-the-shelf FPGA evaluation board, putting this stack together and then adding lots of cables and connectors and switches and various things to make this into a usable system that we could use. But the Multisystem1 was a combination of trying to integrate all of those parts, even putting things like an on-off switch, the USB hub, the analog outputs, cartridge connector, all that sort of stuff. But we found that quite difficult to fully integrate because the world at the time, we were suffering from the issues that we had.
Yeah, lockdowns, supply chain issues, all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so it was very difficult to even buy those parts, let alone do a fully finished system for people. So we offered it as kits, we offered it as bare boards, and people had to go out and buy something over here, they had to buy something over here, and they had to bring it together. Over the years, we've refined that down to a finished system that all you need to do is put that evaluation board on, and away, Multisystem1, you can just plug that straight in and use it. So we've refined that along, but Multisystem2 was what I always wanted to do back in those days. And we did try. We tried to buy the FPGA from Altera, but we got quoted a very, very, very high figure.
So a really key part of the Multisystem2 is that the D10, you don't need a D10 anymore, like you did with the one. The FPGA chip is integrated. And as you say, you tried to do that with the one, but just that chip alone, how much was that costing you?
It was quoted at $168 back in the day for that chip, and that was a good price. They were being quoted at $300 on the Mausers and the DigiKeys, so that was a good price. But it was close to the price of the D10. That was about $220, I think, at that time. So yeah, it got a little bit tricky to actually think about fully integrating it. So we did the best we could. We integrated the SD-RAM on board. So the Multisystem 1 has the SD-RAM on board, all of the I/O, all of the USB hub. We did everything we could so you didn't have to plug too many other modules in. But with the Multisystem 2, everything is on board. So we've gone for the LPDDR DRAM, we've gone for the SD-RAM, we've gone for the HDMI chips, we've gone for the Ethernet, everything. Everything that's on that board is now integrated into one unit.
Right, so first key point, the FPGA chip is on board. You just mentioned I/O there, and that's quite important with the Multisystem 2, isn't it?
Yeah.
Tell us about how that's different.
Yeah, so the big change from Multisystem 1 to Multisystem 2 is the future expansion that we hope will come from the community and ourselves. We've given ourselves lots more I/O expansion, and we've made things a lot more convenient. So we've now broken out things like even the I2C connector, which on the original D10 stack was very difficult to get to. It was a tiny pin connector, and you could only really plug in the real-time clock, and you had to hack on other things if you wanted to get onto the I2C bus. And people have done really great things with that I2C bus. You can put OLEDs on there, you can put NFC readers, you can do all sorts of things. So we've made both of the I2C buses available. You can just plug straight in with a tiny little connector. Four-way connector, really easy to use. The other side is the big expansion connector. We've taken every FPGA I/O pin that we could that wasn't being used. Some were on the original D10, they were just 8 LEDs. That's all they did. They just flashed 8 LEDs. So pointless being on there, but now there are 8 I/O pins you can use. That's basically almost another snack port to add real connections and real controllers on. We've got another 30 odd pins on there. So there's about 40 pins in total that we didn't have with the original Multisystem and with the stack. And that's quite exciting because it means you can do things like cartridge connectors for reading actual cartridges. We've put a few holes on the board, so you could have a mezzanine board that goes across, or you could have a sidecar, a bit like on the Amiga, where you can plug in on the side and you have a little adapter with extra electronics on there. So that could be a cartridge reader, that could be a disk interface, could be all sorts of things.
So this manages to be fully compatible with the MiSTer project, with all the existing add-ons and cores that are designed to use those add-ons. But you've got all of this extra I/O that people can start coding for and utilizing. I mean, that's pretty cool.
It is, yeah. We've also made all the upgrades and enhancements that happened over the years with MiSTer. So the 24-bit DAC output now we've got on here. We've made it fully compatible so you can switch it on and off, because not all cores will fully support the 24-bit. Some need to be run in 16-bit. Some legacy cores used to use the secondary SD card, and that might cause you problems. So you can just switch them off. So as standard, it comes fully set up, 24-bit output, but you can turn those off if you have issues with certain cores. Over time, that will get less and less of an issue.
And it maintains the original Multisystem 1 expansion port on the front.
Yeah, that was a little expansion port we wanted to do early on because we felt the original snack connector, which was a USB 3 port, but it wasn't USB 3, it was just using the signals. And that's always been a little confusing for people. So we always wanted to be able to have cartridges you can just plug straight in, so you don't need to fiddle around with cables or extensions or adapters. And over the years, we've developed a number of cartridges. We've got 8 cartridges now.
I think there's the PC Engine with 5 joypad connectors.
Yeah, that's pretty unique to us because we've integrated the multi-tap onto there as well. So you'd have to have that as a separate device if you used some of the other systems. And we've also got the a PlayStation cart, which has got the connection for light guns.
Yeah, which is a really nice feature of FPGA in general, that you can get that light gun support. And cartridges that were made for the Multisystem 1 are fully compatible with the Multisystem 2. Yeah?
Yes, absolutely, yeah. We're sort of seeing the cartridge port as the natural expansion for connectors and joypads and joysticks and things like that from the original consoles, and then we're seeing this expansion connector as sort of more I/O to do all sorts of things. There could be a slave device on there that gives you a secondary FPGA, for example. There could be an accelerator card with a Raspberry Pi on. There could be all sorts of things. So that interface is really down to how creative people in the community get with the I/O that's available and what you can do with it. You won't necessarily need to multiplex the I/O. You've got full pins there. That just means that you've got full bandwidth on some of those high-speed signals. So you can do some really interesting things.
I mean, we're not getting any younger, Richard. I appreciate the full-size SD card here.
Good, thank you. Yeah, yeah. It's a bit of a bugbear on the original one where we had to jam the little micro SD card in here because it was on the middle of the stack. So that's sort of a bit of a 3D jigsaw puzzle to get it on the original one. And yeah, it did cause a few issues with people sort of snapping cards and all that sort of stuff. They're very fragile, so we wanted to go for a full-size SD card. Not only that you can actually put a label on, you can read.
You can put a label on, you can read, and look, if it bugs you, you can get a full-size to micro SD card adapter and still use a micro SD card, so no problems there. Yeah. That's really nice. In the front, you've got 4 USB ports in the front, ideally for your joypads and things like that, if you're not using a snack adapter. And the 3 buttons that are required to navigate MiSTer, and a power switch on the front there as well. Yeah. Do you come on to the case design now, or do you want to talk about the differences?
I guess it's worth mentioning the 2 variants. So we've got the digital version and the full version, if you like, or the analog version. The reason why we did that is because there was quite a few customers that said, don't really use the analog I/O. They just want to put it in front of their TV on a big screen and just connect up a joypad and enjoy retro gaming from all of the decades. So really that's what this digital version is. We've got limited amount of connections on the back, so you've lost your Ethernet, you've lost your analog, but you've still got digital HDMI, and you've still got 2 USB ports, and you've got all the ports at the front.
On the front, yeah. And that's not to say further down the line, if you bought this one, there are direct video options, aren't there? So you can kind of break that digital out into analog. But it's more than likely if you get this one, you just want to put it under your big screen TV and play games. Yeah, you want to get all of the use out of the MiSTer ecosystem, and you just want to be able to put it onto a nice HDMI TV, nice OLED. There's some really nice filter functions in the scaler built into MiSTer. So you can do scanline generation, you can do CRTs, you can make it look like an old knackered arcade monitor, which is really nice, to see all those extra burn-in and things. So there's a lot you can do with just the HDMI version. And a lot of people will appreciate that because they weren't going to use the more expensive version. That's right. And you don't want to be paying for bits that you're not going to use. And it's not cheap, the connectors that you're using. No. So if you're not going to use them, you don't want to pay for them. They could be cheap, but you've chosen to use some really good connectors on these. Yeah. Tell us about that. That's really what we've done. What we do in all of our products, we use European, Japanese connectors throughout. So these have got high insertion cycles, and they are really high quality. We don't feel very happy about putting in cheap cheerful connectors because this is what you interface the outside world. So you will be plugging in your connectors over and over again. You don't want them to wear out. You don't want to have to take those off. This is a 10-layer PCB, so removing any of those connectors is a real pain. You don't want to be doing that. So yeah, we do go with high quality components. Again, this edge connector is an amp edge connector. It's not cheap, but it does the job really well, and it gives you lots and lots and lots of insertion cycles. So a high quality build. So on the digital version, your HDMI, 2 USBs on the back and your 4 USBs on the front. Yeah. Talk us through the additional ports you get on this version then. Yeah, so we've actually still got the USB port internally, and you've still got the I2C, so you can do things like mass storage inside. You can have an NVMe card, and that's mounted inside the case. A Wi-Fi adapter. You can have a Wi-Fi adapter inside there, which is quite important because you don't have the direct Ethernet. So a lot of people use Wi-Fi and not the direct Ethernet. So again, you're paying for a direct Ethernet on this one. You don't have to on this one. But this gives you the ultimate choice of everything you could possibly want to do, including things like sync on green, the RGB multi-output on the DE15, which can do anything from, well, all the way through PVMs, BVMs, through to arcade monitors and various other things. We've got the little 9-way mini DIN on here, which is the Master System style. No, it's the Mega Drive 2. Mega Drive 2 style. Yeah, there's no big SCART socket on here. There's no big SCART socket, yeah. Again, we don't need that. We've got the C-Sync all built in, so we've got the combined sync coming out. We've got audio on there. Fantastic. Very neat.
Yeah. We've got digital audio, we've got analog audio, and we've also got, like I say, the internal connections that you can plug in. Real-time clock, I2C. You can even have the internal USB in there as well.
Now, the digital version will carry the audio over HDMI.
Yes.
The analog version, you've done a bit of cleaning up on the analog signal for the audio, haven't you?
Yeah. We were always a little bit trapped with the D10, the pinouts that we had to use to keep everything compatible, and they are defined on the D10 board. So they come out, and there's usually a little bit of noise on the analog side of things. So we've managed to route this in a nice way and actually clean up that analog signal, so we get really crisp, clean analog audio out of there, which there is a tiny bit more interference on the original Multisystem because that was part of the D10 circuit. So we've done everything we possibly can to make this the best system for running MiSTer FPGA.
The MiSTer you always dreamed of creating.
It really
so
is,
that's
yeah.
Fantastic. It doesn't stop there though, does it? It carries on with the case.
There's some real ease of use features in these designs. So we've got things like the cartridge flap. Now you can hide it away, so it's not a separate part that used to just come off and people would snap or lose and look a little bit ugly. That's now just a nice little flap that you can just push up and down. We've got inbuilt support for the Zapparoo project, which is the NFC card reading. So again, you can just insert a small module in there, which is only a few dollars. It's about $5 to $10. You can connect that straight to the USB or to the I2C, and you've immediately got a Zapparoo function.
So you can just tap,
you tap
as
or
we're
you can
showing
slide.
here, tap, and it will load. You can tap to load a core, tap to load a specific game, or in the example you've got here, tap to load a random game on a core. So you can have a Super Nintendo card, just tap, pick a random game for me. No need to touch any kind of front end, any kind of menu. You're just straight into your game.
No, it's really nice. It helps with that sort of Netflix over the, you don't know what to choose. And the same thing with this. You've got unlimited choice, but actually a random game loading might give you something new to look at.
Yeah, I mean, we've got the barcode scanner set up on our Multisystem 1 here in the museum, and this takes it to a next level. You can hide those NFCs in game boxes if you want, in original cartridges, and just tap to load. So I love that feature. The board does have 3.3 and 5 volt fan connectors.
Yes.
But the case it hasn't incorporated that because it doesn't need a fan.
It doesn't need it. They're general purpose power connections now. And,
right, okay.
We'll see a bit later what we're using one of those for.
Oh, okay.
So we've now got these side flaps because you can actually take these off and get access to all of the configuration settings. So we've got a few dip switches. Again, on multisystem.uk, we'll have the manuals for all of this, all of the setup, all the tutorials about how to use it, how to plug things in, and different configurations you might want to do with the 24-bit DAC, the HDMI, because you've got isolation for any problems you get on the HDMI. And really, the case is designed to make it so you don't have to unscrew things. So you can get direct access to your ports, you can get direct access to the NFC, and you can take these little side flaps off, and you can get direct access to all of those connectors to plug things in or to remove things. On the back, on both cases actually, there's also a small little exit point on both sides to take a cable out. And I found this during development. It was really nice if you have a mass storage device and you have, say, a USB 3 mass storage device, so you've got high speed, you can bring the cable out and plug it into one of the back ports, and then it's very easy just to take that cable out, put it into your computer and get really high speed download of all of your games and that sort of thing, and then plug it straight back in. It also means you've got more access to the internal ports if you've got other things, because we do have a few other expansions we can show you as well.
I just noticed when you had it open there as well, I was going to ask you about protections on the board, because the Multisystem 1 had like this big orange fuse that offered some protection.
Yeah.
And we've learned a lot of lessons along the way from the Multisystem 1 about how people potentially blow their systems up by putting wrong power supplies in and things like that. Very specific televisions that had problems getting a signal, and we've incorporated all the fixes for all these things along the way, haven't you? So
some of those fixes we couldn't do anything about because they were trapped on the other board, but now we've got full control over the design. We can do a lot of those things in a much nicer way. So yeah, there's protection all the way through from power in. We've still got the 4 amp 5 volt power in, so we can power up lots of internal things. The USB ports all have got a lot of power. You can put solid state storage and all of that side of things. So we've got a lot of power there. We've still got the fuses, we've still got all the protection on all the ports, and a lot of filtering. So again, all of these ports have got little EMC filters all the way throughout, and we had to do that to get through approvals.
Yes, yeah, everything's approved for every region that you'll be selling this in as well. And the TV I was specifically talking about, there was like 1 or 2 models of Bang & Olufsen television that had a problem.
A little bit tricky on the sync signal, so we learnt quite a bit about that. In fact, the TVs were slightly out of spec.
Because they're just so old.
Because they're so old. But actually you could widen the spec to make it more compatible with more TVs and more systems. Yeah.
So a lot of thought has gone into things like that. Anything more on the case there? I mean, there are options for slices as well, aren't there?
Yes,
just like the Multisystem one. So if you wanted to make a tower of power, you can start chunking things on like this. I'll let you do that.
Yeah, they do screw together, but we can just click them on for now. But you can have front ports and back ports here. We've got Super Nintendo and we've got the D15 and D9. And there's a number of different slice controllers that we've got that can go into there. These are all our control dock range, which we've got a growing range of these. 2 can be put in, or you can put other things in here as well. You could put a 2.5-inch drive in the bottom, move the connector. There's a big hole in the bottom, so you can move that up into the USB, and it comes through there as well. So again, we've tried to make it as expandable as possible. You can stack these up if you want to, and they're both compatible with both versions of the Multisystem.
And those slice files are available if people want to start creating things to expand. What is already quite an interesting ecosystem that's grown out of the Multisystem one, all the different adapters and things like that, and the case designs and things like that. So it feels like it's really evolving into a nice ecosystem, but also if we look over on Discord, nice community as well surrounding it as well. People helping each other to get it set up and all of that stuff. So
yeah, it's an incredibly active system. Not a week goes by without a new core or a new feature or something new coming out, whether that's just wallpaper, might be some really interesting screens that you've got in your background, or new cores for the arcade and new cores for consoles. We've got the 3DO core being developed on now, which is really exciting. So from 2017, we've seen this project grow so much, and we really are there's still lots of things to come with this FPGA.
Yeah, and just as we'd like to encourage people to download the slice files and tinker and expand on this, you're a tinkerer too, aren't you, Richard? And you bolted something onto the Multisystem too. Tell us about this.
Yes, so we've got a few options, and one of them is an LCD screen. One thing I did quite late in the design was to put in 2 screw mounts at the back here, so you can have other things bolted onto the back. So again, these design files will all be available if you want to tinker and put your own size screen on. But
are you selling this?
So we're going to sell this as a system without the screen, because the screen is readily available, and from Amazon and other places, it's fairly low cost and it's really nice. It's high resolution. So we've got 1920 by 1200p, so this is a really nice screen.
And I know why you like it. I know what system you like.
Yeah,
it's the Atari Lynx, isn't it?
It's 5x4, so it's the perfect ratio for the Atari Lynx. So this looks just absolutely stunning with the Atari Lynx. Also looks good with Game Boy Advance, because MiSTer's not just a 4x3 system. There are some widescreen formats on there as well.
And I know what I'll be using that for. The really cool thing about this bolt-on is that you can see the output on this and the analog at the same time. So if we're setting this up at expos and shows, we can see what's going on, even if the telly's mucking about and we're trying to tweak it to get it into the right 50 or 60 hertz or whatever the telly needs. We can see it on here at the same time.
That's right. This has been absolutely fantastic for us, just been able to do lots and lots of testing with the Multisystem, just because you just need a power supply and a controller, and you can get up and running straight away with pop your SD card in, and you can start testing without having to go and pull a monitor over or get all the cables and everything. So that's a little system that we've got.
Thing. I want you to go one step further now and do a keyboard to go on the top for a little MiSTer laptop.
It does need a little laptop, doesn't it?
So, but I understand why you don't sell the screen directly, because Heber prides itself in designing and manufacturing here in the UK original pieces of equipment. You don't resell third-party things.
No, that's also why we didn't design our own NFC reader. They're being manufactured in such high volumes that you can buy them for $5. We tried to buy the NFC chip, and it was about $5. So by the time we've done that, and no one's going to buy exactly the same NFC reader from us just because it's made in the UK. So we stick to what we're good at, stick to the core systems, and then give lots of people options to do enhancements and upgrades to bring it up to the standard you want.
And the Multisystem 2 it's made not just in the UK, but right here, designed right here in this building and made just down the road, isn't it? It's not far away at all. You take pride in it being made in the UK, and having complete control over this means that you can be very confident about the price that you've set. In fact,
yes, you've
been clawing away, getting it down and down and down over the last week, haven't you?
Yeah.
And now you've set it at just £170 for the digital unit. And being made in the UK, that means you can be confident that with world circumstances as they are, quite volatile at the moment in some aspects, that's not going to suddenly go up over 100% when it comes into your country.
No, we can't do anything about costs when it lands in your country if you have a tariff or something to pay, but we can be sure that the cost that we're getting for all the components, the assembly, the finished unit, can at least give you some confidence to place the order and get that underway. And we do intend to start shipping in August, as we said.
And here's some of the facilities around the building here where you design and test and assemble the Multisystem 2. Tell us a bit about it, Richard.
So yeah, we've got a full functional test ATE equipment that we use for testing all of our electronics. We produce jigs and test fixtures that test not only all of the components on the board, but its functions as well. So check that the video output works, check that USB ports work, and that goes through every single one. So we have a human readable serial number that goes on to every single board that we manufacture. And if you ever open up your multisystem, you'll see that the date and the time and the serial number for your unit in there. Full traceability all the way back through, so we can tell down to every single resistor where that came from, whether it's a European supplier, whether it's a UK supplier. But yeah, we have full control over every single one of those components. We don't let anyone else buy on our behalf.
So there it is, the Multisystem 2, not just built on the foundation of the Multisystem 1, built on a foundation of decades of experience that Heber have in working in FPGA arenas. Really high quality product. And it's a bit tricky for me to say things like that because we're here at the Retro Collective talking about a product that's made in the Retro Collective. We want to be positive about it. I've been playing with it all week and I think it's great. But we're also putting out lots of review units, aren't we? So you can get lots of opinions hopefully soon all over YouTube.
Yeah, we're trying to get that out to as many people as possible who want to play around with it, experiment with its different features, use some of the cartridges, maybe start tinkering with some of the I/O. So that could be something sooner rather than later.
Yeah, you'd love to get this into the hands of some of those core developers to tinker with the I/O or hardware developers. So put your hand up if you in the comments section if you want to chat to Richard about that.
And on that side as well, so we are supporting the Retro Collective in this hardware endeavor. So our job, our role in Heber is to actually produce new modern technology for old systems, whereas the cave up here and the arcade archive downstairs, they preserve the very systems you see around us and the experience. I think that's so important, isn't it?
Yeah, that's where it comes together, doesn't it? This is capturing
together.
the experience in here, isn't it?
Capturing the experience so well and so authentic. I will, if you put a Saturn next to this and you run the two cores, I think you'll find it very, very tricky to distinguish between the two. If you're in a blind trial, you wouldn't be able to tell. And that's really the essence of FPGA gaming, the reason why you buy it, the reason why you invest into it. It's a very hard thing to talk about and to sort of portray until you actually sit down and experience it. And that's what we're doing with a lot of the technology we're involved in to try and preserve that hardware for the future, because it's not always going to carry on forever. So we will have to find ways to recreate that experience with modern technology.
I should just say congratulations, because I know it's been a labour of love to create this. So well done to Heber and to you for creating this thing. Get your order in to be in that first batch of, can you tell us how many you're producing?
No, because it's actually a sliding scale, so we're producing them in little mini batches. So if you get your order in early, you're more likely to get them sooner rather than later. But as soon as the orders come in, we'll keep on switching on more and more of the batches. So we have batch shipments going through, and they're staggered about sort of every 4 weeks or so. So we're trying to keep up with demand.
So catch up with demand and then keep them in stock, which will be hopefully far easier than the circumstances 4 years ago or 5 years ago with lockdowns and supply chain issues. It's a whole new world. So well done, and go and check it out, Multisystem UK. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe if you haven't already done so, because there will be more videos about this in the future. Richard, you're going to take us through features and
Yeah.
things like that very soon on the channel. Okay, take care. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.